All right, good morning. It's time to do some coding. Gonna have some fun this morning. All right. All right. So I'm just gonna jump right in. It's 7 a.m. and it's time to get going. So happy Friday, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. Hope everybody had a great week. I know I've had what I feel like is a pretty productive week, and pretty excited to be with you here this morning. Gonna probably be on for a couple hours, and sorry, a little more coffee. Um, I've made some progress on the Recon tools in the time that we've been away, so I'm gonna go ahead and finish getting set up for that. I'm here in Claude right now, but I'm gonna switch over. I still haven't set up a machine. We need a machine set up to be able to beat on with our tools that we're working on. So let's go over here. We'll search for. I usually use most popular. Let's go to easy. Let's go to CTF, and we'll find one of these free boxes here. Let's go to something we haven't looked at. I'm going to go all the way to page 3 here. Free challenge hacked. Oh, that's a PCAP analysis. We don't want that. Let's see this guy. Let's do game server. Easy boot to root box for beginners. That's what we want. Because right now we're just trying to get an example server to be able to go against. Yep, good old user root flag. That's all it is. Suit guy is a good guy. He's a good dude. Not just saying that either. Suit guy. So there we go. Let's get this box is getting started up. So while that's happening, let's go back over and I'll show you what I've got going so far now. I've started over from scratch because you have to do that sometimes. And so now it looks super cool. I'm very excited about what it looks like. We've changed the architecture. Maybe I'll start with that this morning. So let me go to Excalidraw here, and I will show you how I've changed the architecture of what I want to do. Kind of already started one here. Always forget which button to hold to zoom in. Okay, so here we go. Whoops! Now I'm really using the wrong buttons. Shift. That's the one that goes side to side. Okay. So here's how this works now. Okay. And so we're going to actually have a Flask dashboard this time, is what we're working towards. And the Flask, in fact, let's just change this. Let's do this. Let's move this down. Let's just delete this completely. And we'll move this down here, because what we're going to do is we're going to have a Flask, dashboard. And then Flask will also have our tools in it. So we're going to have a Flask dashboard, but then Flask will also be an API for our tools, for running tools. And then that will be like where we're looking at things visually through the dashboard. We won't see the API, but things will happen through the API. And that'll be better in the long run, because if we do an API, then we can have more than one tool, and we can have some one-off tools that talk to the API. Now, we'll have a CLI too, because we're going to want to interact with a CLI. And I haven't decided yet, but I think the chat is actually going to go over here. I think I've done it before. I've created a LLM chat. So we'll probably have a chat window in here, and we'll be able to chat with all the information that we've had so far. So we'll have a chat window. So we'll get that out of here. So you might ask, well, what's the CLI for? Well, the CLI, maybe we'll have a way to be able to access the tools, or to be able to get, a lot of it will be the feedback from what the tools are doing and running. It'll come out in the CLI. So you'll see there'll be two pieces to it. And then of course there'll be a target. So most of the most of the tools will actually hit the target straight out of the API, which really doesn't matter from our standpoint. But and then these two will talk to each other back and forth, right, over HTTP, because it'll be API. And then lastly, the last thing that I figured out that I'm going to have is what's called TinyDB. So a lot of times people will use like a SQLite. We're going to, whoa, I don't know why that got so big. TinyDB works really well in Python. There we go. And if you use SQLite forces you to have a schema, right? SQLite requires tables and requires you to actually have like a set schema that you're using. TinyDB is NoSQL, so that means it stores things basically in a NoSQL way. Oh, that's what I was going to say, which means it's like JSON, right? Very similar to JSON. So because it's no SQL, we're able to store things in a JSON way, and we can change things on the fly automatically, and that's going to be really important because it's going to get messy when we're doing all this recon. So there you go. So we'll have a DB that can talk to everything. We'll have a back end CLI. We'll have a front end and an API server, because Flask lets you do both. And then we'll attack the target through those pieces. Okay. So that kind of gets you up to speed a little bit with where we're going with this. Let me click on this guy and get it another hour. All right, there we go. And then let's go over and look at our Katron here. Okay, so this is way too small for people to view from home. That should be better. You should be able to see the code a little bit nicer now and not quite so tiny. Okay, so there's going to be 3 main files that we're working out of here. And let's see. There is I'm going to push them over here to the side. Here we go. Okay, so there's the Katron file. And by the way, Katron is just me doing a play. I love Tron. I've always loved Tron since I was a little kid. And if you've ever done any research, the Tron, there used to be a Tron command, at least like back in like BASIC and stuff like that. And the Tron command was like there to help run and look for errors and things. And of course, in the movie, Tron is you know, his little guy that's trying to search and find out the secrets that need to be found. So I just went ahead and stole that. And then of course my name is Knox, so it's just Katron. So that's what I named it. So here it is. This is the main CLI file, and this will start a lot of the stuff up here. We'll get into it a little more in a minute. And then we have routes, and this is our Flask, and you can see I don't have a lot in here yet. I was just getting it all working at a nice working point yesterday. And then tools, same thing. So the routes, you'll see here, like perform in-map scan, and then we just call run in-map scan from, we have a tools file, and you see here from app tools import run in-map scan. This is going to get real long as we keep importing all these tools. But that keeps these 2 files separated, and that will help us, especially with some of our AI and LLM assistants, because really long files get very difficult for an LLM. It's not difficult for an LLM to read a really long file. It's difficult for the LLM to give you back the long file. So if you can make your files, so if you can do what I'm going to show you, a trick here, and give it all of your code in one shot. So I'm literally going to give it all 3 files here in a second. And then after I do that, it can just give me each file back individually, and then the output is much smaller. So that's the best method I have found so far about how to be able to do this kind of thing. All right, just looking out here and checking before I really dive in. Remember, if you have any questions, please don't be afraid to ask your question in the chat. Say hello. Let me know you're there. I will notice if something pops up. Usually I've got it right here on the side so I can see you if you're trying to trying to say something to me. We're on Twitch and we're on YouTube live right now. Okay, so here's what I do. Let's go to the command line, and I'm actually using a couple different command lines. This one's on my Windows machine, but I'm obviously SSH'd in. And let's see here. Change directory. Where's it at? There it is. Okay, so here's the command I'm using. And I really want to talk about this because this is an interesting thing that I just figured out on my own. And no one showed me this, and I feel like it's a really good trick when you're trying to work with LLMs like Claude on code like this. So first thing I do is change directory into the Kaytron folder because I always forget to do that before I run this command, so I did that. And, that just means and, I echo nothing into current code.txt. And what that does, this right here, echo nothing, is it's just quote, quote, into current code.txt. What that does is it clears the file. So the file is now empty. So current code.txt, I'm in the right directory, and it's an empty file, so I'm ready to go. And then what I do is I run a for loop. So this is a bash for loop, and the bash for loop for file in, and then I name the files that I care about right now. So run.py, which is the file that starts up my Flask server. App/routes, that's the one we looked at that is the Flask server proper. App.tools, that's the one that contains all the tools. And then back down to the CLI folder, which is where Kaytron is. And then for all those files, do echo the file name into current code, and then cat the file contents into current code. So that gets me a file that has, and I'll show you over here, we'll run it just so I have it. So that gets me the current code, and it's right here, current code. So now, the one thing I might want to go back and do is, it just says like run.py. It doesn't even like have anything in front of it. So I might want to make that just a little bit more obvious to the LLM that that is the name of the file. In fact, let's do that right now. Before I forget, let's go back over here and let's see if we can figure out how we would do that. Echo file. Okay, we should just be able to do, if I go back to that, I should be able to do like file name like that. And then that should maybe help it know that that's the file name. And let's see, how is it doing? And then it cats current code. All right, so let's hit enter. And now let's go and look at it. Sure enough, that looks at least a little bit better, right? Like now the LLM has this file name thing in here, and it might know that that line is the file name. Maybe that'll make it a little easier for it to understand. And then, so then all three files are in here. And then at the bottom, I do this other thing because it gets confused. It'll get confused about the file structure of where all these files are located. So I started adding the tree command onto the end. You can see right here, I do and tree. And the tree command is what creates this file tree down here, right? And I may want to do, I think I want to do another like break here, because notice how that's real abrupt, and that might also confuse the LLM. So let's go in here and we'll clean this up a little bit more. So let's do, we've got current code done, and echo I think I have to do an E if I'm going to do the new lines. I'll do like 2 new lines here. And then I'm going to put in directory structure. I totally spelled that wrong. Structure. There we go. And then I need to close this quote into current code.txt. Okay, so that should fix that. Hello. All right, so there we go. Now let's go back over here and look. And sure, now see, now we've got this nice, now we got a little break between the end of the code, and then I have directory structure, so that should like be very obvious now to the LLM. So what we've done is we're giving the LLM our current code, the files I want it to have, we're giving it the file names and the directory structure. So now I just hit Control A to copy the whole thing, and Control C to copy. And now we're going to go to Claude. And I'm going to start a new chat this morning because we're starting fresh. And I'm going to put in here, I am working on a Flask app. Here is my current code. Please examine it closely. And we're going to start with having it create a README this morning because I don't have a README yet. Okay? And then create a README .markdown. Yeah, for it. We're not even going to give it more instructions than that because it knows what a README is, and it will try its best to try to make it look nice. So let's go ahead, and before I do that, even let's go back over here, and I will show you what it looks like. Of course, it won't work the first try. It never does. So maybe me saying it won't work on the first try will make it actually work on the first try. So it should be that. Let's find out what the... I don't remember which one we actually turned on this morning, so let's go back and look at it. Let's go here. We did gaming server, and the IP address is right here. There we go. So let's go back to... Oops, no, we want to go here. Here. Okay, so we need to change the 146.144. And we're going to change this to gaming server. I am going to stick a, there we go, gaming server. Nice. It at least started up. All right, so it starts up, gives us the cool Kaytron banner because we have to have that. I mean, you have to have a cool banner. And then working directory created. I have a config file to create the working directory where you can specify where you want your working directory. TinyDB initialized. And then I have it checked for some tools. I may need to actually say here that that's what it's doing because we have to check the Terminator is installed and the GoBuster is installed because we need both of those. And then it has reconnaissance information updated in TinyDB, the working directory, the host, the IP, force. Force is if you've run it already and you want to run it again, you can say, hey, I've already run this once, but I want to run it again, and I want you to overwrite all the things. Because as we're going through, I'm telling it to, if you already have a certain nmap scan or you already have a certain GoBuster thing, like don't run it again. It already exists. But sometimes you have a reason that you need to rerun the whole thing again and that you want to overwrite the stuff you've already done. And so in that case, I have an F flag you can see there that you can run. I'll turn the F flag off. And you can see here that we kick off the basic nmap scan, the nmap quick scan, which was very quick. And all that does is do top 1,000 ports. All that does is do the top 1,000 ports, and it'll also just try to help us find port 22 and port 80 really fast. Okay, so now let's go ahead and we'll click enter again. I just want you to see it happens instantly, because in this case, it's like I've already run. I'm not going to run again. You already asked for this scan. Here are the results. So that's how far we've gotten so far. Our other version of this, we've gotten further, but we'll get further today. Okay, so let's go over here and see what Claude gave us for a... Oh, I never hit enter. let's let Claude make a README for us. He says he's examined the code closely, and he's created a README for us. There we go. Nice. So let's see what it says, and we'll see if it actually like is real or not. Katron's a comprehensive capture the flag reconnaissance tool. Automated nmap scanning, TinyDB Flask-based API, command line interface. Not bad. Optional but recommended, not true. Those are not optional. Those are required. We'll have to change that. Clone the repository, install the required packages, which we haven't made a requirements.txt yet, but create a .env file and add the following. Start your Flask API server. Run the Katron CLI tool. All right, not bad, not bad. We're going to go ahead and use it just because we should have a README in here. I need to start getting one going. So let's go back to our cursor. And let's go up into here, and we're going to do... Oh, I should already have a README. It's just empty. Yeah. Okay, Control V. Let's go down through here again, though, and at least fix those glaring problems with it. Required. These are required. Required tools. There we go. Should have the... I guess it had 2 on it, too. That's good enough for now. We'll fix it up later, but at least we've got something now. Okay, so we've got that. And let's go over to... Back over to Claude. And so, actually, let's not go to Claude yet. Let's go over to Tools. So we ran the basic nmap scan. It ran fine. Try and decide if we should do just a little cleanup before we yeah, let's go to Claude and let's talk to him a little bit about where we're at right now. This is important to do. So let's go to Claude. Okay. Do you have any questions about the code? Okay. I see you're using TinyDB for database storage. How are you planning to use this database long term? Are you storing scan results for comparison over time, or is it mainly temporary storage during a single recon session? It is temporary storage over a single recon session. Well, a new TinyDB will be created for each recon session. I guess we could say for each new target in the recon session. That doesn't really make sense. It's actually TinyDB will be created for each. We'll just leave it for each recon session. It'll confuse it if I say anything else. Okay. Oh, now I'll actually number these two so that it knows that these refer back to the numbers that it gave me. And again, we're just trying to see if we can help it understand the code better. In the long run, that ends up helping. API endpoints. The routes file only shows one endpoint. Are you planning to add more endpoints? Yes. We will add many more endpoints. This is just the beginning. 3. Configuration. I noticed that a config.py file in the app directory, but contents weren't provided. What kind of configurations do you plan on putting here? This the config.py was created because that is the normal Flask file structure. Hold on here. It is there if we need it in the future. This is where it would be nice to have, like, there are certain times like this where I would really like to just be able to talk to it. But Claude does not have that yet. It's kind of annoying because it's the best one for everything else. But error handling. The error handling in perform in map scan route is quite basic. Yes, we should implement good error handling for everything. Front end. There is a templates folder with a home, but the current code doesn't seem to use it. Are you planning to develop a web interface for this tool in the future? Yes. It will have a dashboard that we will build out as we go. In fact, we could go ahead before we do any more tools, and we could go ahead and display the ports and things like that. And we probably should, so we're kind of going real slow and getting it working. 6, testing. There's a test directories. Do you have plans for implementing unit tests? No. 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 No testing at this time. Security. Given that this is a tool, have you considered implementing any security measures to present? No. Don't care. Scalability. The current setup runs Nmap directly on the server. This app is for running against one target at a time right now. Additional tools. Yes, but not ready to add them yet. Almost done. Man, he asked a lot of questions. I didn't realize he asked me quite that many questions. The code loads environment variables. Are there other configuration options? Yes. As we add more features, we will need to add more information to the .env file. Now, make suggestions for cleaning up the code, error. Let me put in here comments that would help you understand the code in the future. And error handling, but do not change any code yet. Just make suggestions and we will work on them one at a time. Because we don't want to try to make too many changes at once, because it will try to just do like 5 of these at one time and it'll start making the code ugly. So I've learned it's very powerful to use AI to help you with your code, but you have to be very measured. If you start going too fast, it starts getting too large. The code ends up becoming incoherent because you don't really know what it's doing anymore because you've just been trusting the LLM, and then you end up with a mess and it gets to a size to where you can't get any further. So you have to go slow and try to, talk to it and get it to, you have to talk to it and get it to help you, but not let it overtake you, right? I don't know how other way to say that. So let's keep moving forward here. Again, got any questions or anything, just throw them out in the chat. Thank you for addressing these questions. Based on your responses and the current status of the code, I'll provide suggestions for code cleanup, helpful comments, and error handling. 1. Code cleanup suggestions. In Kaytron, consider breaking down the basic recon method into smaller, more focused methods. This will improve readability and make it easier to add new recon steps in the future. In the tools.py, the run mmap function is quite large. Consider breaking into smaller functions, each responsible for a specific task: preparing the command, running the command, processing the output. In routes.py, consider using Flask's request get JSON instead of request args get for better handling of JSON data in post requests. Okay. Comment suggestions and error handling. So let's consider using typing hints throughout. Okay. Let's start with number 1. Okay. Copy. Let's do this. Do this first. What is the first thing we should... Oh, I'm going to say show me. Show me the first changes we should make. All right, here we go. Let's see. We'll start with breaking down the basic recon method in the Kaytron.py and the run nmap scan function in tools. We will also update routes to use the request. All right, so it's wanting to do all 3 at once. But, the nice thing about it wanting to do all 3 at once is, notice Claude can make files now. So it's going to show us each file and like how to do the updating. So let's click on updated Kaytron, and here it is. So we've got so it's all the way down at basic recon. And again, this is why you have to like know your stuff well enough to know what to do here. So let's I'm gonna kick this over here, and then I'm gonna have to open, because since we're on YouTube here, I can't use all my monitors that I have behind me. Normally I would spread all this stuff out all over the place, but I can't do that right now. Oh, I didn't actually make them smaller. There we go. Make it a little, let's see if I can get it a little smaller so I can see both of these at the same time. There we go. Good. Okay. So let's go to Kaytron. Proper. Okay, and we're going to go down here to basic recon. All right, here we go. I'm going to make this just a little smaller. I think you guys will be okay with that. Just like 1 tick smaller. All right, and so it says we should do this. So let's print out these. Copy. And then we're going to... First thing I'm going to do is not get rid of this. I'm going to just... comment it out, and then we're gonna add that, and then it didn't paste properly, so we got to kick that over. Okay, so it created basic recon, perform the quick nmap scan, perform quick nmap scan does what? This one actually makes the API request, okay, and displays, and then tells it to display the nmap results. Not bad. We might be able to reuse some of these functions later. For now, we'll just leave it like this. So now we want to go back and we want to test and make sure that this didn't just completely F up everything we've had working so far. So we'll add, this is why we add the force in here, so that we can force it. and it's kicking off that in-map scan again. While it's doing that, I'm going to go over and make sure that we've got another hour turned on this server so that we don't run out of time. Oh, it's already on an hour and 27 minutes. Okay, we're good. So that worked perfectly. That did not break anything. And we now have that in a little more modular setup. So that's not bad that we have this in a more modular way now. I understand why Claude wanted us to do that. Okay, so now let's go to tools. So in tools, it wants us to, we have run in map scan, prepare output directory, check existing results, prepare in-map command, and run in-map command. I mean, I guess this works out fine. I'm trying to think if we can reuse any of these. Let's go back over here to our, whoops. Go back over here to this. Oh, not that. We want our, here we go. And actually, I'm losing my, I want to be able to see the code. Where to go? There we go. And I want to be able to see my cursor. Trying to do this on one little screen is annoying. Okay, so we're going back to tools. Same thing here. Now, did it actually mess with the parse? It did not mess with the parse in-map output command. It left that one alone. We have that command twice. Parse in-map output. Parse in-map output. We have that twice. I don't know how that happened. Let's get rid of it. Let's make sure it's the same first, though. And of course, they're not the same. Parse in-map output. This one's the one getting run because I think it reads them going down. So that means I think I need to get rid of this one. So let's comment this out first. And now we're going to run it again and make sure again that we didn't break anything. I don't know how I ended up with two of the same function that are different functions. Crazy. So let's run this again. It's running the quick in-map scan. It should be very quick. That's why it's called quick. Okay, it worked fine. So I really think we can just get rid of this one. Okay, so there's that. So we got rid of that guy. Let's close these so we can see them a little better. Okay. So we're just talking to see, that's nice. Now we can just see just that guy. So we want to see this. I'm going to make sure I still have this copied. I'm going to go back to cursor. All right, again, we're not going to delete this yet. We're just going to comment it out. That's control / for anybody who is wondering. Control / lets you comment out a big chunk of code like that at once. All right, so now we've broken it down into in-map scan, prepare output directory. Okay. Check existing results, prepare in-map command. Okay. Let's close these guys. I don't mind having a ton of functions. I like functions because you can always close them up like this and it's fine. I just don't want us to get confused. There we go. Look at how nice that looks. So let's run it one more time over here. If it didn't break, we'll keep moving forward. It's going to be about time to make the first commit. I haven't committed this. Oh, there we go. So it messed up something. So I need to show it that and be like, hey, your code sucks. I got this error after updating the tools.py with your suggestion. Let's see what it says. Due to a mismatch between the client and the server, Let's fix this issue by updating both files to ensure they're in sync. What? What are you changing? These changes. So what did you do? Oh, with a post request. API request. Oh man, we're gonna try this. I don't want to mess with that. I've got it working. I don't know why it wants me to try to change that. Let's go back and look. Over here at cursor. So what do you want me to change here with the... You want me to change my API request. URL self API endpoints. I don't need those prints anymore. Try. Convert info dict to JSON string. Yeah, why did it take that out? Yeah, I don't like that at all. Because I struggled with this yesterday, trying to get it to be cool, going back and forth between these things, and I don't want to mess with that again right now. All right, so I'm gonna be a little bit nasty with it. Here is my original code, and it worked fine. What did you change in the new code to mess it up? I'm gonna put it back on Claude and be like, hey dude, it's your fault. You're the one that messed this up, not me. You're right, the original code was working fine, and the changes I suggested introduced the issue. Let's analyze what went wrong, see how we can improve the code. The main difference between the original code and the suggested code was the breaking down of the run in-map function. Well, not really. You changed something. Let's revert back to the original in-map scan function and make some minor improvements without changing its overall structure. We've added more detailed print statements. All right. Let me go back over here now. This is what I'm saying. You can't just blindly take what it wants to give you. It will mess everything up. Okay, so we've gotten rid of the code it wanted us to add originally. Let's go ahead and keep this like commented though. All right, so I commented that back out. Let's take this. I am really doubting that this is going to work because this looks so much smaller than what I already have. Run in map scan. Working dir, output dir, if try. Working dir, output dir, if try. All right, maybe. Is it the same? What did it even change? Scan type. Now I'm curious. Now we got to look and see what it actually changed. Hold on here. I got to look at my phone real fast. I apologize. Okay. One more thing, and then we're good to go. All right. So let's keep comparing here. If scan type, print, return, working dir, host name, IP, force. What did it change? Output directory, make dirs, output prefix. If not force and all, this should be exactly the same. In-map command, try subprocess. It just added a couple extra print statements, which is, I don't know where these will actually even show up at. They probably show up on my actual Kaytron proper. I don't want that, but let's try it and see what happens. Okay. All right. Yeah, whatever it's doing is like, I don't know what it's doing that's breaking everything. There is something different in here. Because my code works and this code does not. So we're not going to use this. Let's try it again now and see if I've got it back to working again. Oh, now it's totally broken. Maybe the flash cap went down. That's what I'm trying to say. Let's get in here. I've got the flash cap running inside the actual Kali server. Okay. Yeah, it did. All right. So maybe its code did work. Let's go back and try. This is where this is like, it's tedious, guys. But if you want things to work right, you can't just think it's going to magic bullet and it's just going to work every time. It's not. It's not going to work every time. And just trusting blindly just trusting blindly that the LLM is going to give you good stuff is not going to work. You cannot do that. All right, so let's try it again over here. All right, so it kicked back up. We look pretty good. And there we go. So it works. It did not. Oh, that's my original. Okay, so now let's cat my original out. So we're back to working again. Again, I don't think I like its version of it because I think its version is going to just print a bunch of crap to the screen, and that's not what we're doing. We want it to look clean. Sorry, my cat is walking through. This is Ragnar, everybody. Oh, it does break. That's so weird. Why it breaks instantly. Oh. Can't import name run in map scan from app tools. Did it change the name of it? Is that why it's breaking it? Why would you change the name of it? Run in map scan. What? Let's go back and look. Now I'm fascinated. Run in map scan. Run in map scan. How did it? Why is that breaking it? Okay, let's try to run it again. Oh, this is not the right one. I wasn't running it from here. I'm running it from the other one, which is actually good. Let's leave this open right here. Then let's pull up this guy. We're going to make him a little smaller so we can watch. So we can watch this terminal and this terminal at the same time. So this guy is working. Okay, it's still working. Run it a second time. Just for funsies, because we're watching it and we want to see if it works. By the way, if you're totally lost, just ask me some questions. I don't mind recapping for anybody coming in that's new here. Okay, so it worked again. Just fine. Okay, so now let's go back to the code. And that's with its new code. And it didn't print this stuff out to my pretty screen, which is this one. Did it print it out to the screen I don't care about, which is I think it nmap scan executed, nmap output, scan report, host is up. This is all nmap. Well, no, so that's mine. So it's printing it. Okay, so that's good. That's good. That's what we want to see. So now I guess we're ready to, let's go back now and let's see here. I'm going to say, okay, the run nmap scan you just gave me is working. Let's try again to break it down, because I do think it is a little big. And let's see if we can do it now. I mean, that's like too many though. Prepare output directory. I mean, I guess not. Just feels pretty big. Copy. Let's go back. So here's what we're gonna do now. We know this one works, so we're gonna comment this one. Now we're gonna come up here and get rid of this one because we know that we've got it working, and basically the only difference was a couple comments anyway. It really wasn't that different. Now we're gonna come down here and we're gonna paste this in. Make sure there's no errors. Okay, that looks fine. Now I feel like I need like straight up comments though to like show regions because I have so many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're gonna put in nmap scan functions like that. And then down here, this is, that's a utility. That's parse nmap output. I want this down below this other one. Copy. Actually, we're going to cut. Because I want this one below this guy. And that's update DB. So then if I do that, we can paste this here. And now we can make another comment and just call this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I want to call this utils. Yeah, utility functions. Utility functions. There we go. It knew what I wanted. And that way this stuff can be down here and out of the way. And now I can start closing all these little guys off, and I know that all of this whole region is just the nmap stuff. Okay? So there we go. And then there's the old code. Okay, now we're going to test it. So let's go over here first, because I kind of like, why did that kill that again? What is killing it? App create app. Why is that? Why is it randomly just detecting it? Oh, it's just because it's changing. Okay, so when I mess with the code, it's making Flask crash because it cannot import name from app tools, but it is importing it. So weird. Maybe it's because I like removed it for a split second and it didn't exist. So for a split second, this didn't exist, and that made Flask crash. So that's what the problem is. So I'm really going to have to watch that, because that ends up making me think I have errors that I don't have. So now let's run this. But for those of you that have been on here with me for a minute, we didn't know that at first. And if I would have just blindly trusted Claude when Claude was like, oh, you need to go and change all this crap, and I just blindly trusted him, it would have been terrible. It would have been a terrible rabbit hole, because that wasn't really the problem. The problem was that the Flask server had died, and that was what ended up causing all the problems. Sorry, I'm looking for my fan control because it gets a little warm in here and I want to turn my fan up. But I don't know where it is right now, so we won't worry about it. Oh, there it is. Hold on, I'm going to turn my fan up. The bunker gets a little warm because I got quite a few machines and monitors in here, so I got to keep my fan running occasionally here. All right, so there we go. All right, so now we've got that. Let's move on and see what the next thing it wanted us to do to fix up. So let's scroll up now. Oh, I am going to tell it that that worked. Okay, that worked. But I'm not going to hit enter yet. Let's scroll back up and see what the second thing was all the way back up here before we got down that rabbit hole of changes. Okay. So certainly, okay, so now we're gonna, it wanted me to update the tools. In tools, we've split the function into, oh, we already did the first one, the basic recon. We already did tools. Now we're in routes. Okay, we've updated the perform routes to use request instead of request args.get. We also changed the route to accept a post request instead of a get, which is more appropriate for sending JSON. To implement these changes, you would need to update the API request method in Keytron to post. All right. So I want to just tell it that we want to do this over again. So what I'm going to say is I want to attempt this change now and tell it expressly which one again. I haven't made this change yet. There we go. And let's see what it comes back with, and if it certainly, let's break down the in-map scan function into what? No, okay, oh my gosh, that was my fault. I didn't scroll down far enough. Wow. Okay, certainly, let's implement this change to use post request with JSON data. We'll update the routes in the Keytron to make sure. So, you have to click, here's the other thing we're using Claude is making these files, and the file that's up right now is the second file. So you have to click back on this one to get the first file to pop back up. So first, let's update routes. Okay, so let's see, again, let's not just blindly do this. Let's go over to cursor here again. And by the way, I think can safely take this out now. Okay. And this file doesn't look nearly as bad now because we've got everything broke down and we've got some nice commenting. And so now we look at this file and it doesn't look nearly as scary anymore. Let's go over here. We actually need to do the same in this one. It doesn't look nearly as scary once you close all this stuff up. So we're going to close up all these different functions. And then that makes it so that when you're looking at it, at least for me at least, I don't feel nearly as overwhelmed with all of it if I can break it down into these tiny pieces. And I guess I can get rid of this one because everything seems to be working fine. There we go. So let's look at our handiwork now. Yes, much prettier, much prettier. Oh, you can even, I was going to say we should be able to break the imports down too, which we did. All right, so now it looks much better. Okay, so now let's go over here and we'll take a look at this code. So we're looking for, oh, we're in the routes. I wasn't even in the right one. So we're in routes is already really small, so it's not that bad. Home, render template, we already have that. Don't care. Perform in-map scan. It wants to change it to a post. All right, so let's just go ahead before we do anything and comment that out. Now let's go over here. Let's grab this version of it here. That may be literally the only thing it changed. It may have only changed the post, the method to a post. I kind of want to look at the code here. Let's see. Perform in-map scan. Try data equals request.get JSON. If not data, return info dict data.get, scan type data.get. If not info dict or not scan type Huh. We're going to try this. All right, so we got to go back to our Kali machine, because this is where we were running the Flask app. The Flask app says it didn't die, says it's fine. Let's go over to here. Let's run again. And we have an error. Oh, we did. It told us that. It said we had to change the, we also have to change Katron to take in, oh my gosh, that just really looks scary because it looks so much smaller. It just feels like it's leaving something out, but I'll look at it and we'll see here. Let's go here. Okay, so now we need to go to Katron, and this is the API request function. So we're gonna, again, just comment it. Don't overwrite it yet. And now we're gonna copy this guy. It's just this function. Copy. Paste. No red, so that's a good sign already. This is definitely not where it needs to be. Let's kick it in. It's making a post now, as opposed to before it was doing a get. Maybe that's why it had to have all these like other things, because that's what's one area where I'm not as good. I don't know as much about the web stuff, and I'm hoping that it can teach me. If this works, I'm gonna ask it to elaborate on why the post is better than the get for JSON functions, or for JSON stuff. Looks like it's gonna work. Let's see here. Kick off in-map scan. This is short, shouldn't take too long. It'll pop up. Like I said, any questions, just ask me in the comments. Feel free to ask what the heck I'm doing here. Okay, there we go. In-map output. Everything's fine. I love this little table. I hope I can keep doing little tables and fun things like this with it. Just feel like it helps the eye be able to understand what's happening so much better. In-map scan completed successfully. Here are the results. All right, good. So let's see here. We've got that. Got this. Okay, we said we were going to ask him why that was better. It is a little bit smaller code. Oh, I know what we should do before we even do that. We should go over here, and we should get rid of this now because it worked. Not leave this nasty old stuff hanging. Let's close this up. Okay, so that looks good. Tools looks good. Routes looks good. Oh. What? I thought we just deleted this over here. Routes looks good. I guess I closed up the one in Katron. All right, so that looks good. Routes is really tiny. There's not a lot in here right now. We'll keep adding routes. I like keeping this routes file, what little I have done with Flask. I like it just being the routes. When you try to put the actual functions you're going to run in here with the routes, it gets really so convoluted so fast. And then it gets hard to keep track. We have not saved any of this, so I'm going to go right here and I'm going to do a get status. And there's our, you want to make sure that the things that are in here are things that you want added. And so I do want the app folder added. I want run, I want tests. We're not using tests, but we'll keep it in there. So get add dot. Let's do a get status again. Oh, it says untracked files. It will not be. Didn't I just get add? Get add all. I don't have to run that from here. I can run that from anywhere, can't I? Get status. There we go. I guess I didn't need to run it from down the directory. All right, so there it is. Again, make sure these are things that you want in here. So I haven't committed at all to this repo yet. So confirm. What you want to make sure is that you don't have like PyCache or your virtual environment. Like, see, look, we don't want this PyCache in here. See how it's darkened out? I don't want that. And that's because I have it in my get ignore file. The get ignore file tells Git what to ignore. So I don't want the PyCache in here. I don't want env in here. and I don't want my virtual env in here. I definitely don't want that because this is just all the junk with all the actual like libraries and stuff, and you don't want that. I actually don't want current code in here. Is current code on there? Yeah, I don't want that because that's just a rehash. It's just all the code. So let's go into git ignore and let's type in custom files. Current code. Yeah, it knew. It knew I didn't want that. All right, so current code. And then I'm actually going to put like */ current code. I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out how not to. I don't want it, no matter where it exists. I don't want it in here if I happen to accidentally make it. Now we're going to use SGPT, and I'm going to say git remove current code from tracking. All right, now if you have never watched my channel before, I'm about to blow your mind. I'm going to hit Control L here in this Kali machine, and I have a tool in here called SGPT that sends whatever I have on the command line to GPT, and it sends it as a prompt and says I need a command with what I just sent you in the buffer, and then it just sent me back the correct command. So I'm going to hit this. Okay, now I'm going to do status. Why changes not staged for commit, changes to be committed. Okay, still want to make sure I got rid of that. Git add dot. There we go. So now I have the git ignore is in there because I modified it. We took current code out, and so we're good. I think those are all the files we want in there. By the way, I didn't show you, there is a little tiny front end on this already. Yeah, SGPT is amazing, and it is it's really good, and it keeps improving. They're still working on it, and it's a great repository that's being worked on. I need to dive into it a little more and see if I can help. Oh wow, you can use it in MSF console? What? I haven't tried that. That would be crazy. That would be crazy good. That makes me want to use MSF like Venom more if I knew that I could use it in like a session with it, because I've thought about that. I've been trying to figure out how to. That's one of the things I want to do with while I'm building this Recon is there a way that I can get my reverse shell and still have SGPT, or get my reverse shell even more than that? I just want to get a reverse shell and have control over the shell with Python. So in other words, I want to be able to capture the reverse shell session in like Terminator or some environment where I'm able to automatically have it send the commands over the reverse shell. And the conclusion I'm coming to is that's kind of dumb. Really, all I should focus on is... Oh no, yeah, it is absolutely, yeah, it's not necessary. I see what you're saying. But really what I want to focus on is trying to figure out how to be able to get some kind of stable connection. Terminator Z? I don't know that one. I'll have to look that up. I want to get some kind of connection where I'm able to use Python to interact. But like I said, if you get a stable connection, and even if it's just more like a C2 connection where it's... I've come to the conclusion it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I'm beaconing back with HTTPS or if I'm using a socket. I just need to get some stable connection to the machine that's programmatic. So I need to quit being romantic about the actual bash shell, the reverse shell, and just actually build some kind of client that I can inject into the target so that I can just have direct communication to the target, not human communication to the target, so that I can have a LLM or some kind of logical system I build actually try to do the privilege escalation and try to do whatever I want with it. And it's just fascinating to try to build systems like that. So anyway, if we go over here and we go to localhost, that's it, 127.0.0.1. I think I'm at 5,000. Yeah, there we go, Ktron. So the Flask does have a tiny front end. And I'm going to commit this, and I think the next thing we're going to try to do is, once we start, I want it to pop up here and say like target, IP, blah, 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 and show the open ports. So that'll be the start. So you'll run the Recon in the terminal right here, and I think it'll be cool to be able to run the Recon in one window in a terminal, and then also have like a dashboard of all your notes that you're kind of compiling over here in the browser while you're doing it. It's fun. I think it's fun. Let's see. So let's go and finish committing the code. That was it on this guy? Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to do git commit am good working start. And we're going to git push. There we go. And so now that should be on my GitHub now. It is public. I haven't put it's just on my GitHub, Ktron, right now. I don't feel like it's that special that I want to publish but if you wanted to go look for it, it is a public repo. So now let's go ahead and before we do anything else, let's go ahead and try to get that little front end, a little bit of dashboard going. So let's ask, showing the open ports and Recon is what SGPT helps with the most, I'd say. Yes, have to take lots of notes. Oh, sweet. Yeah, that'd be great. That would be great. I do have over here, I found, and I've done this before in the past, I found a really nice in-map XML to JSON. It's not even that many lines, and it does a really great job of converting the XML file that comes out with in-map into a JSON file. Like, this is it, just these lines of code. And once it turns into JSON, my plan is to start having it parse and start having they're handwritten. Nice. I want to start having the LLM help me. When I did this in the past, it was like 2 years ago, maybe a little more, and the LLM thing hadn't really come out yet. And so I didn't have it to help me with trying to do this stuff. So now I want to be able to go back and say, hey, look, I just got this JSON dump of this in-map. Help me write code to extract X, and it will help me because it was really tedious to try to do it on my own. But LLMs are really good at JSON. They can handle looking at the JSON and making super cool little Python that will rip out immediately what you want and reformat it, and it's not tedious to it, is what I'm saying. Okay, so let's go over to Claude, and we will ask it. Okay, we're actually going to abandon this chat. One of the other things that you need to know is that as the chat gets longer, it actually gets a little more confused, and it also gets more expensive, and Claude will get angry with you and tell you you're out of messages. Because remember, everything we've done in this chat is part of the context, and every time you send a chat, whether you realize it or not, you're not just sending the chat. You're sending your chat, and you're also sending all this crap that we've already done back up to it. It's already there. It probably doesn't send it back up because the chat window knows it's there. But the point is it has to use all this context to keep the conversation going. So it's better to just start a new chat, and then remember, use my little trick that I showed you at the beginning. So we're going to go over here, and we're going to go up to our fun one-liner we made somewhere. Was that in here? There it is. Here's my one-liner we made. And this is the one with the directory structure. So we run it again. Now, remember, this takes all of our current code and makes this current code file. So now we have this current code file. We're gonna Control A to select all, Control C to copy. We're gonna go back to Claude. Yeah. Oh, sweet. Yeah, take pics and DM me the prompts on X. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. So Claude, here we go. So now I'm gonna copy. Here's, I am working on a Flask app. Here is my current code. The next thing I want to do is display the target IP host name, notes, directory path, to the home page, to the home.html. All right, let's see if we can get it. Certainly, to display the target IP hostname notes directory path on the home page, we'll need to make changes to both the routes.py file and the home template. Let's go through this step by step. Okay. That's not too bad. So this is base. Hold on. Before we change anything, I don't want it to display these fields until the information is available. See, this is where I don't know how this works. How do we do that? We probably are going to have to make a new endpoint. All right, let's see what it says. You're absolutely right. That's a great point. We should only display the information when it's actually available. Let's modify our approach to handle this more gracefully. We'll update both the routes and the home to... Oh, thanks, man. Thanks, that guy I know. We'll update both the routes and the home files to accommodate this requirement. First, let's update the routes.py file. Okay. Now, what did you update it with? Home. Get path to the database. Oh, it's going to grab it from the database file, which is really smart. But it may not be there, and that's not the right database. Yeah, because we're starting with the... How do we do that? Okay, so before we do anything, I needed to understand what we're doing here. Before we change anything, look at the Catron.py file. That is where we create the database and update it. how can we give the Flask app the information it needs when Katron runs the Flask app is already running. I didn't think about that. How does it know? Because I'm creating a specific tiny DB every time. Feels like we should have we may have to have a second tiny DB. Feels like we need a second tiny DB that is just for keeping track of data and state between Katron.py and the routes.py. It would need to have have stored the current target IP, hostname, notes path, and specific tiny DB for the target. Thoughts? Be more direct and stay away from... Yeah, I do need to stay away from words like feels. Yeah, probably a good idea. I gotta quit being nice to it. Here we go. Yes, you're absolutely right. I apologize for not considering Katron file earlier. Your suggestion of using a second TinyDB for maintaining state between Katron and routes is an excellent approach. Let's explore how we can implement this. Here's how we can implement this. First, let's create a new file for managing the shared state. What? Why? Why do we need another file? Ensure the data directory exists. Update current target. Yeah. Yeah. Scan all machines in the network. Ensure the data directory exists. Create or open the shared state database. Why do we need this update current target? I'm just gonna, I will take your advice. We don't need a shared state .py. Period. We should have Katron.py create or verify that the we're going to call it Katron DB exists, and we should have current target information. I'm just going to put information. It already knows. updated in the ktron.db immediately, or on startup. On startup. We'll do that. Yeah, you better apologize for the confusion. And yeah, I'm right. Although sometimes you're not right. That is one of the reasons I like to ask it for recommendations sometimes, because sometimes I don't know. And sometimes I do want to ask it to help me think it through. You're right. We can simply simplify this by using the existing Ktron DB. There is not an existing Ktron DB. Introducing a new shared state file. Let's modify the Ktron and the routes to achieve this. All right. So let's see what it's doing to do this, and let's see if we can do it. And then I'll probably be getting off of here after that this morning. All right, so let's go. Oh, we don't want current code. We want Ktron. Ktron, where are you? There you are. All right. So other methods remain the same. Init Ktron database. The DB path equals this. Self.ktron equals tiny DB. Okay. Oh yeah, I know. It is. You can't trust it. I've learned that. That's why I go really slow. It is extremely helpful. But that's why I've gotten to the point now where I really try to read what it's trying to tell me that it thinks I should do with the code, because it will lead me completely astray. Init Ktron database. Let's just look at this one first. Copy. Let's go back to the code here. So I've got my, let me open these up. I've got my run, my init, my display banner. It would need to be right up here near the top. Set target info. So it's going to be like right here. Like right, I mean, we can do it right after parse arguments. That would be fine. Because after we parse arguments, let's see. Then we set target info. Oh, there we go. So we're right after this, we've got our self-target IP, host name, and force right here. We already have our path, because I think, don't we have path already? Information to dict. By the time we get here, we've got everything we need. So I guess here would be a very safe place to put it. So let's put it here. Kick back. Kick this in. There we go. Okay. Ktron DB path equals OS path join self working directory. No, it's not working directory. No. It'd be current OS current working directory. Thank you, Copilot. You knew what I wanted. Not. See, that's why we can't trust it. Self dot Ktron DB. All right. So now I'm going to use Copilot to help me a little bit here. Control K. If self dot Ktron DB doesn't exist, comma, create it. If it does exist, do nothing. Submit. That's it. We just wanna like have it make sure that it. There we go. If not, has attribute self Ktron. What? If not, has attribute self Keytron DB. Okay. Keytron path self dot join tinydb. I need to have it explain this to me because I don't understand what that. I've never used that has attribute like that. I mean, I've seen it, but I don't understand it. So I'm going to do this again. I'm going to say, oh, I don't want to do this here. Let me do this. Let me copy it and do it out in. Now, see, this is where I'm going to go actually outside of Claude, and let's flip over to, like, we'll use ChatGPT for this one just for fun. It's funny how you type like what? I can't see what's like a something and then statement. How I type my if and then statement in my you mean when I'm asking it a question? It's funny how you type it like a if and then statement. Oh yeah. Reprompt it again and see what it gives you. A second guess. Oh, that's a good idea too. I just wanted to see this too. Check if Keytron.db is already initialized. The has attribute function checks if the object self already has an attribute. Oh, that's not what we want to do. Yeah, we don't want to do that. I'm going to just say it here. That's not what I wanted. I want to check if the Keytron DB exists or not on the disk. That's, I mean, on the disk. On the disk. Let's see if that works. Okay, so then let's see what it says now. Now it has Keytron path join, okay. If OS, yeah, it should just be an OS path if it exists. Else, yeah, this looks correct. This is nice. That looks like what I wanted. If the file exists, it prints a message. If it doesn't exist, it will initialize a tinydb database. That's what we wanted. Yeah, it really is all about how you prompt. Whether you prompt correctly or not. Oh, I don't need all that. And I need to kick this in. Kick in. Okay, so that should work just fine. Keytron DB path equals os path.join get current working directory Keytron DB, which that's fine. I don't mind hard coding that. That has to exist for the system, so that's okay. Okay, so and now let's go back to Claude because Claude, I think, had a function for us to populate that. So now update current target. Update. Oh, is it just wanting to update the current? It wants to change the. Okay. This is update current target. What? Is that one I have already? Update. No. Okay, so this is a new function. All right. So we're going to put it after this. Whoops. All right. Copy. Wish it would just kick over automatically. There we go. Oh, we're missing the bottom part here. Did Copilot already know what it wanted to do there, by the way? That looks like exactly what Claude had. Yeah. I'm just going to do this just for fun because I want to see if it... Copilot... Okay, so it did upsert query. Huh. I wonder what the difference is between those two. We're going to try to use the one Claude had. Watch, it'll be wrong, and the Copilot one will actually be better. Okay. Let's, oh, wait. Let's see what, did it have anything else it needed us to do? Okay, so there's that. Rest of it remains the same. What do we need to do? Update routes. Okay. Route. Get current target. It should be a button. We should make a button. We need a button on the left of the nav bar to update target info, or just update target. That, yeah. To update target, yeah, that should be enough. Let's just see if that does it. I could start trying to... All right, so let's see. Certainly, let's add a button on the nav bar to update the target. We'll need to modify the base target. Let's update and create a button. Let's update routes. Yeah, Sonnet is Claude Sonnet 3.5 is really smart. It normally knows what you want, but you are absolutely correct. Sometimes you really gotta try to mess with it here. Base template navbar with update target button. Okay, so let's copy this. Let's go back over here. Let's make sure we follow our code and actually take template base. And we're gonna do that thing where we just comment this first and then put this in case this just is terrible and doesn't work at all like we think it will. Okay, update routes. All right, so what did you do in routes? We added a new update target route that runs the Kaytron script. No, it doesn't. Oh my gosh. The route uses subprocess to kick to run Kaytron. No. No, no, no. That's not what we're doing. No. Update target should just read the Kaytron database. And I guess I'm going to have to go back because I think I stored it. I don't think I liked where I stored it. I have a feeling I probably am telling it. Let's go back and look. I think we're telling it to create the database in... Yeah, see, it did current working directory. That's not where we want it. We want it to be probably down here. And see, I have this app folder. This is where things always get messy and you second guess all your decisions. So the Flask is running out of this app folder. Kaytron's running out of this CLI folder. If I put the database inside here, that's fine. I just would have to hard code that that's where the database is in here. Or, yeah. Or just have to do something like maybe store it in the config file. That would actually be, or not the config file, in the .env file. That would be smarter. Just make it something that it can read, and then we can have, because I'm pretty sure my Flask is reading the .env file. If it's not, that's really easy for it to do. And then if it reads the .env file also, then they're reading off the same sheet of music as far as trying to find that database. And in fact, that is a good idea, because then I could actually give the name of the database that it's sharing to it and not have to have it hard-coded. So I think I will do that. All right, but I've been going for about almost an hour and 40 minutes now, and I think I'm gonna call it a morning for now. And I may come back to this today on several monitors. But hey, thanks for hanging with me today. And that guy I know, thanks for commenting. I love it when people are giving me a little feedback here. But we'll get that set up. We'll use that. I'm really excited. I learned, you learn so much when you try to do a project like this. It's a pain in the butt sometimes, and you second guess yourself, and you go down a rabbit hole, and then you come back. But you learn more, right? Every time I do one of these or try to build a little thing like this, I end up, you end up learning some cool stuff, and it just makes you better at what you're doing. So thanks for hanging with me on a Friday. If you have not liked the stream this morning, please like the stream, and then that's about it. Subscribe, I guess, if you haven't. But yeah, that's it. Let's have fun. And I will probably be back on Monday morning. Now, Monday morning, we'll probably just do more actual real hacking on Monday, and not working on the tool so much. We'll just actually try to do a box. And then what my standard MO has been is I give myself an hour on Monday and Wednesday, and if we get through the box, then we revert to working on this. But we'll try to get through the box first, and we'll use whatever we have working on this for the box, of course, but then we'll move on to something else. So anyway, that's it, I think. All right, well, everybody, like I said, like the stream, and go back and watch some old streams if you're still bored, and have a great weekend, everybody. I will see you all on Monday, 7 a.m. Eastern. Talk to you later. See ya.